This is a very rare interaction which we are having on ET Now from the sidelines of India Economic Conclave. The three brothers of the Hinduja group is here with us today to chat about the economic environment, the Hinduja group, which operates in many countries together, many cultures, many currencies, and have seen cycles through the decades, and also about how this really big group keeps together, with very large families still together, and is operating through different countries and business cycles. So all three of you, thank you very much for agreeing to this interview and chatting with us, sir. Let me start with you, sir. Talk to us about how are you analyzing the environment right now, because the Hinduja group right now perhaps is best placed, operating in so many geographies across the world where there is a growth scare. You talk to policymakers over there, you talk to your managers who are operating various segments. How real is this growth scare?
You see, if you ask my personal view, what you say, the personal view is total different. The fear psyche is there. When you move around socially, you move around in the corporate world, everybody talks about the fear psyche. But my view is little different. In a big nation like India, when you have to change and bring it into transparency, which is your 60, 70-year-old system process is running, there has to be some strictness which has to come, which has already come, which has given that fear. But now it is a time where things have to change, where the government has to start thinking that criminality for each and everything cannot work. You have to convert most of the criminality into the civil. Okay. Because otherwise, anybody today, whether it is SME, whether it is a high net worth, they'll say, why should we work? Because anything you do, there can be some error. Sure. And a bureaucrat who has all the powers can pull you up and take to any extent. So I think whatever signal and action was taken was right, which was needed, which has happened. But now I think the time has come where things have to change and bring this criminality, which is for each and everything, most of the cases, should come into majority to civil.
Sure.
Sir, it is being misused by some of the authorities. I am not saying all. This morning, since last 2 days, I was on the Juhu beach for a walk. Wherever I go, the first thing in the morning, we love to walk. Sure. And met many business people. They tell me, sir, we don't want to invest anymore here. He says it's much better we keep our money on deposits. At least there will be no inquiries. It will be no fear. So I told them, are you mad? What will you do with your employees? What will you do with your workers? He says it's much better to be safer rather than having a fear of going into prison. Now, why this has spread it, we don't know. But these dialogues go abroad, and when they go abroad, the foreigners get more worried and more concerned that should we go or not. Although the intention of the government is to change the policy towards goodness. But as my brother rightly said, it takes time to change the culture.
Sure. What policymakers are doing, and you briefly made a point that these are structural changes which are being put in place, so it may be painful in the medium term. But I want direct feedback from you in terms of when you speak to all your leaders of the companies, because what is peculiar about the Hinduja group is, though it's family owned, but it's completely professionalized as far as operations are concerned. So when you meet, your reporting meets and the board meets, what are your leaders of various companies, be it financial services, automobiles, CVs, IT, mining, many other defense, what are they telling you? How deep is the slowdown in your view?
You see, in every sector, there is a difference. Take for example in the banking and finance. Although there has been an impact of the loans given, but the returns and the profitability is going to be same because of proper structuring. because of having proper risk management. If you talk about commercial vehicles, we are 40-45% volumes have gone down, fallen down. We have to shut down our factories for 20 days a month. Straight away, from 180,000 and 200,000 vehicles a year, this year we will hardly do 100,000. Okay, some people may say it is cyclical. Some people may say because the economy grew up and it is the impact of it. But in my opinion, if the policies are moving properly, this won't happen.
So when you hold, Diwali parties in London, which we all know about as a very prominent, the Hinduja group Diwali party, then other businessmen of the region and policymakers come in. Tell us, what kind of feedback do you get about how are they looking at India right now? You, of course, because of the business interests so deeply ingrained, you have the pulse on Indian sentiment, economy, whether good or bad. But when you meet others outside, how are they looking at India right now?
Well, they look India in a very positive way, because today if you'll find lot of Indians, non-residents Indians, who have made their base in India. They have invested in properties, they have invested in hotel industries, they have invested in many areas of the sector. They feel India is still their home. When they come, they feel very comfortable coming to India, because the service which they get in India, they cannot get anywhere outside India at all.
He is referring comfort of living, not comfort of
and
investment.
Many of
Yeah,
them,
I was keen to
many
know.
of them, many of them who have moved to Dubai also. End of the day, they like to come back to Delhi. And now go in Delhi, they have a lot of farms there. And these farms are all non-residents. They have invested in those farms, which they have appreciated so highly.
No, what I meant to ask was, how do they analyze the business environment here?
You
Because
see,
with,
I will
with
tell
you,
you,
they will be
they-
very frank.
I will tell you, many foreigners, OCIs, NRIs, and foreigners want to come and invest in India. Why? Firstly, democracy. Secondly, Mr. Modi has really made the India name more popular in the world. But when they come here and the difficulties they find in implementation, they run back. And I have many examples of these. They come to me and they tell me, GP, what should we do? What is the way out? Now, that is the key problem.
So, are you saying ease of doing business has not really
No,
translated?
ease of doing business has been announced, the progress is there, but we are far away. We are far away. I'll give you a simple example. If we write in the Western world any letter to any authority, in 3 days you get the reply. Whether it is a royalty, whether it's a prime minister, whether it is a bureaucrat, you get a reply. Here, the letters go, but there are no responses, unless you have good contacts. So, this is the difference. But as my brother rightly said, Ashok, that it's a change of culture. It takes time.
But there is a
Ashok-
solution to this.
Ashok, if policymakers are watching this interaction of ours, and they would be very soon, what is a couple of suggestions as large group operating in
Yes,
India you would like to give?
I was just about to give you this. There is a solution to this. Today, India being a great market because of the consumption. And this type of consumption you don't see anywhere other than China. If all the projects, if the government wants to create an SPV, they should get all the clearances, including the bank loans, that investors call for the tenders, qualify the tenders, ask them to put the equity, and all clearances are there, so that they have not to run between the center and the state. Then you see what type of
So, there has to be a
investments.
council for center and state. So, that
So if this SPVs are created and all the projects are taken clearances in that company name, The investor comes only invest its equity and he can start his project. He has not to run around for the clearances.
So basically, they have to create many SPVs, take clearances, do everything what they want, and the investor comes and he buys the SPV.
And he buys
and
the
the life. This, you see, we are practical people. We like to give solutions. Like we mentioned about convertible.
Rupee convertible, fully convertible.
We don't have to get worried that the capital flight will be there. No, because it's a good place for opportunities, for investments. This will make our economy more stronger.
I have a question. At the group level, the billions of pounds of earning which is happening, how are you allocating capital across geographies? Are you putting incremental, which are the regions where you are putting incremental money? Because you are dispassionate as well as a businessman in sense of it will be more rational decision making. So, is incremental money coming to India
I
or
can tell
China?
you very easily. You see, US is on the top. Then we have China. Then we have countries like Singapore. We have Japan. We have Middle East. And I think 20 to 25% we invest in India.
That's your priority of
Yeah,
incremental
and
investing.
we would love to invest more here. As soon as make east to do business keeps on moving faster, we will find us coming. Not only we will come, but we will get other foreigners with us. We will get other OCIs with us.
How are you analyzing the first 7 years of this regime, this government?
From now,
Yeah,
No,
Mr. Modi's
Modi's
first 7
regime.
years so far, in terms of areas of work, people will question,
let me tell you.
which is the best reform in your view, which is a
Let me
game
tell
changer?
you, his intentions have been very good for the country. That's the main thing in my opinion. And the vision what he has for India, he is a committed Indian and he understands the problems. But his team has not been working with the same speed what he has been working. There has to be a good understanding between, after all, government cannot do business. Government can only form policies. It is the businessman who has to do the business. So the businessman should have a comfort, and to give it that comfort, they have to be hand in hand to take things forward. Believe me, India can become the third largest economy at least by 2030 if we go on the right track. We should not get worried that from 8% GDP, 9% GDP, we have fallen down to 4.5%. We can jump up. There are every good opportunities to do that. But the policies and reforms have to take care of all the hurdles which are coming on the way. And that can only be done when government and business people work hand in hand.
Sure. So, let's talk about the global environment, global leaders. The US and China trade war really has brought a lot of countries in difficulty, including India, last 15 months. Now, last 10-15 days, they are coming together. But a lot of people say that they may come at a middle path, but it's not going to be a permanent kind of a solution, because the fight for the top order, global order, will continue and China will not give up very soon. How are you analyzing what is happening between US and China right now? Any of you want to take that?
I think they have started well. US has started well, and because he has the elections coming up next year, so he has to solve that issue. And initial step one has gone positive, and the hope is that it will get resolved.
This was.
Plus, you like to add,
I'll
this
tell
is
you,
India, China, China, US.
Trump believes in Almighty. He wants US to be almighty. The globalization phase he wanted to change. And that was the only way for him to do it. But then there is a realization that impact. So they have started resolving between China and India step by step, but still it's a long way. And it had impact on many of our companies also, which are in US, who have operations in China, they got affected. So, we have to accept the reality.
But the group has been a big beneficiary of corporate tax cuts which have happened in India.
Yes.
Not only that, in US.
As well.
But sir, again in corporate tax, I will tell you, if you go into the details, हाथी के कितने दांत होते हैं? 4 ना? 2 दिखाने के 2 खाने के. What happens to MATs? Minimum advance tax, the companies who have paid, they will prefer to go by the old taxation. They don't like to go with the new one because they lose money. On the contrary, they have to pay more. Now, these policy things one has to look very carefully. Sir, हम धंधा करते हैं, क्या करते हैं? We try, although it is run by professionals, but strategy is given by the family members.
So, let me ask you a completely desi question. You know, this family has been into business for 100 years. Our viewers are stock market guys. They look for sustainable businesses which can keep growing at a modest growth for a long period of time because compounding happens there only. What is Hinduja Group's secret of compounding their businesses for over 100 years successfully? Sure, going through ups and downs of their own way, but sticking around for 100 years in business itself is a big feat.
Come on, boss.
You see, we are conservative at a family level, very conservative. We don't, the risk appetite is not high. We always go very cautiously to see that anything can happen. It can swing upward, it can swing downward, but at least when you are conservative, your profitability is sustained. So, if you see our group companies, sustainability is most important. You may not get the advantage that, okay, today it is A, it has become double in 3 months or 6 months. If you see many companies, it has grown very well, but they have grown sustainability.
Slowly, but one thing is very clear, we are also diversified.
That's the point I wanted
So
to
many of the sectors don't do well, the others do well.
And it is nature-wise, we have
And
changed so much.
geographically we are divided. Suppose we were not in US, we would have had a big effect. So US is doing very well, Middle East, so the economy, you know what it is.
Let me tell you on GDP. Lot of discussion going on, media talks about that what is the actual GDP. Forget everything. Now, how the GDP will grow? Country has a debt of 560 billion, right? The rating is an issue for the country. Today, we are second lowest rating by the agencies. So, your cost of money is high, right? If you improve your rating, now how do you improve your rating? The flow of money should come, your reserve should go up, your local businesses should be there. So, export is one of the key factors. How you create an export hub here, so that internationally they come here, not go to China, not go to any other country, where today the exports have shifted
Sir,
out.
we have killed our African markets. We used to have maximum effect
done
in
it
Africa.
yourself.
Not China, not myself, India. India could have really grown in a big way in Africa.
We lost that opportunity.
Yes, but Chinese have just penetrated in.
So, this is one area of export. Second, you take on banking sector. The entire infrastructure, they have started a good concept of NIIF, which is the infrastructure fund, where India participated, UAE has put in, Canadian funds have put in. So, that is going very well. Similarly, we have a problem in the financial sector, whether it is NBFC, whether it is banking. The regulator wants to clean up the whole system. Now, how much government can inject money? It's not possible. So, the best idea, the solution to this is create another fund.
Yeah,
And let India, no, that can be infrastructure, this can be a financial sector fund. And this financial sector fund, India as a government can participate, few $100 million. They could invite overseas Indians to participate into that fund, and so many sovereign funds will do. Because the value, if you run these companies cleaning up after 4 or 5 years will be double.
I have not understood one thing, which I have told to authorities here many a time. We paid $1,000 for overseas citizen card. Now, OCI card, what is the advantage, sir, I am having? If I come here, I still have to have visa on the passport. I should show the OCI card and they should accept us. They still want us to fill a foreigner card. Why? If you have given us an overseas citizen Indian card, you should also treat us as Indian. No? So, what is the benefit of OCI card? I still not understood, but at least my $1,000 is gone.
Okay, one last question at the family level. You've been such a large family overseas as well as India. Operations are there, very affluent by God's grace. But you have managed to stick together very well and have become an example for many in today's times when families are parting ways. What is the secret of?
Very simple. We allow each and every member to do what they like to do. Take an example, Ashok's daughter. One, she is fond of sound, music. She is researching on it and she wants to create healing for the poor people. The second daughter is fond of art. Okay, go and do what you like. Sons, like his younger son, he wants to go in sustainability and renewable energy. Karo. Everyone, look, no human being can be similar. There has to be sacrifice and tolerance. You should not treat your children as the elders in old days.
Dictate, no dictation.
You have to keep them as friends. I really find whether your daughter-in-laws, whether your daughter, you have to give them same treatment. And they should feel comfortable with the elders. नहीं तो बोलेंगे यार ये बुड्ढा हो गया इसको बाहर निकालो साला आप रोज खट 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 करता है. So
democracy
but again
in the family.
But again this is the blessing. We all love to have dinner together in the night. We all love to have lunch time.
And your get-togethers in London are famous.
No, get together in London, get together in
Indian
Bombay, get together in different
South of
parts
France
of the
and
world,
Yeah, all
and
Indians.
have holidays together. Nobody wants to go on holidays.
So 30-40
separately.
people together.
हाँ सर जाते हैं
Beautiful.
मजा करते हैं और क्या.
Great, sir.
But
All three of you.
most important is certain principles of the father, the values of the mother has to remain. So the
Why
family,
don't you give
the
five
family,
principles
family-
of the father?
Yes, let's talk about 5 principles of the family, Hinduja family.
yeah,
One
so
is
work to give.
Work to give.
Because he always believed that whatever you earn, part of it has to go for the others.
One.
So one is work to give. Then act local, think global.
Which we
So-
do
Which-
all the time.
Yes.
So all our businesses are running on these 5 principles.
Growth with partnership means you have to go in abroad, find the right partner and try to adopt their culture if you want to be with them.
ठीक है, 3.
And word is a bond.
Word is a
Word
bond.
is a bond.
अगर कमीज भी बेचनी पड़े कमिटमेंट को ऑनर करने का है. Because if we don't do that, and fifth one is advance fearlessly. You should not get scared with anything. If
So
you
once the
want,
decision is taken, jump.
Wow,
ये
it's been
पांच
a
हो
very
गया.
valuable session with all of you.
Thank
For
you,
us,
sir.
thank you so much for your time.
Pleasure.
So the family is entire vegetarian. So that is the key factor which up till now is continuing.
sir, now in Islamic countries also it is happening. The environmental and climate change, the first fundamental is to be vegetarian.